Part 45. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 441. Chapter 441, 441, Science versus Metaphysics has not failed at this moment. Having worked for the same person for more than 10 years, design and construction can really make people age. Besides, the other person is an ordinary person. According to the age of the other person when I first met him, he is almost 50 now. XCMG, long time no see. How is our second phase project going? I think the equipment here is basically completed. Shenyun, he greeted the person in charge who had his back turned. XCMG, who was busy looking at the construction drawings, turned his head when he heard a familiar voice. Are you Shenyun? The other party was confused. Why does it feel like the other party has not changed at all after decades? He is already old and about to retire. It's me, come here to see how the project layout on your side is going. Shenyun looked at the equipment in front of him, which was very different from the previous one. It will take a few days. Our substation will be ready soon. The line we pulled this time will not only need to pull another line inside, but also the power of several surrounding mountainous areas will be supplied through this line this time. So it takes more effort than before, the person in charge said briefly to Shenyun. Let me tell you, I came here a few years ago and saw construction here. It turns out that this is also related to the people's electricity consumption. Thank you for your hard work. Shenyun thought about Baiyun village, which still has no electricity, and his own home. In the valley, although electricity is not needed for lighting in the valley, if there is electricity, life will indeed be more convenient. This is all part of the job, no matter how hard it is. XCMG waved his hand and did not take any credit. This project is very big. When it was originally designed, it was not only about the power consumption in the mountains here, but also the power supply in the central region here. They are all related to this project and will make electricity consumption more stable in the future. But there is no need to talk to Shenyun about this matter. After all, it is their own business. People like you who have been working hard for decades are worthy of admiration. Well, I won't disturb your work. I'll go in and take a look. I'll be here for the next few days, waiting for you to do it. Okay, just inform me again. Shenyun greeted, knowing that there are only a few days left, and there is not enough time to retreat in the past few days. Go directly to the place where the seal is. The electric light flashed inside the seal, and the demonic energy was still flowing everywhere, but it was not as thick as before, as if it could not be dissolved. The stability of the seal is still very good. In recent years, with the addition of electric equipment to share the pressure, the seal has lasted longer than I imagined. However, thinking about what he would face in the future, Shenyun still set about setting up a new formation. The sealing formation that Senior Yao Yang taught him should be stronger. After all, it was the one that their world had used for tens of thousands of years. How much there are still some advantages. Shenyun arranged the sealing formation step by step. Not only did he use up almost all the spiritual stones stored in his space, but he also used up the gate he carried back from the island. He also added a little bit left by his ancestors. Good material. Having been busy for 5 days, there is still one last step to succeed. Shenyun plans to complete the equipment and activate the seal. By then, the 2 layers of seals will be protected together, and the safety will be stable. Shenyun flew outside. Su Gong said that it only took a few days and he didn't know if he was better now. Shenyun, you came just in time. We have finished the outside. We still need you to open this formation. We will get the equipment inside. But this time it only takes 1 day. We have many workers. And the equipment has been assembled outside in the past 2 days. When Sugong saw Shenyun, he pulled her to work. Okay, just wait a moment, it'll be fine in a while. Shenyun finished speaking without any ink marks, and started fiddling with the formation directly. It doesn't take much effort to open the formation, and now that her cultivation level has increased, she can operate it more easily. The formation was quickly opened. Without letting Shen Yun say anything, Sugong next to him immediately called to the workers who were ready to pick up the things and rush inside. If I hadn't known that most of these people were going into work, I would have thought they were going to catch the train. Shen Yun himself was not idle, and sent a message to Yan Han in Beijing asking him to come and help. He also began to help build equipment. Some tasks that required climbing were done directly by Shen Yun, without the need for workers to use ladders or other equipment. The project that was originally expected to take 1 day was completed in half a day. This period of time is also enough for the severe cold to come from Beijing. Based on the last experience, Shen Yun and Yan Han discussed it carefully, and the two of them quickly put the new equipment into the seal. There was originally a lot of demonic energy, but with the addition of new electrical equipment, the demonic energy was visibly decreasing, and even the Black-Red River water was slowly becoming shallower. Yan Han knew about this project before, but he never had time to come and take a look. Shen Yun and Su Lei were responsible for everything here. XCMG is responsible for the engineering aspect. This was the first time he saw it. He recovered from the pain caused by being infected by the demonic energy. He and Shen Yun stood aside and looked at the situation inside the seal. Science versus metaphysics has not failed at this moment. Perhaps the future direction is not just cultivation, there is another path for ordinary people and cultivators to take. How about it, is it shocking? Shen Yun smiled and said to Yan Han next to him. It's quite shocking. I used to think that as my cultivation skills improved, I could do anything. Now I realize that there are still many things that I can't do. Although they are all ordinary people, this project is great. Yan Han sighed with emotion. Said. So Minister Yan, go back and apply for some bonuses for them, in addition to the bonuses for their department. This is no problem, this is what they deserve, Yan Han said while looking at the workers who were packing their tools. He plans to go back and propose that the higher authorities increase support for scientific research. In recent years, their country has been busy cultivating immortality in an all-round way, and the investment in scientific research is actually not as much as before. But isn't this a living example now? If their country's scientific research strength is strong, maybe the thing in the sky won't be a problem. After all, when the power is strong enough, science can also break through the boundaries of cultivation. Shen Yun and Yan Han sent the workers out of the formation, and the two of them observed inside for 2 more days. They saw that the situation had stabilized, and the river water had basically become clear. The output of electricity was now greater than the output of the demonic energy, and the demonic energy was removed. It will be done sooner or later. Is there a spirit stone? After confirming the situation inside, Shen Yun saw that the time was almost up, turned around and asked Yan Han on the side. Yes, I have a storage bag with me. See if it's enough. Yan Han took out his storage bag directly. Okay, I've used up all my spirit stones. I've got a new seal and it's just the last step. Shen Yun took out the spirit stones from the storage bag and started working on it. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 442. Shan Han was still a little weak due to the invasion of demonic energy, but that didn't stop him from watching Shen Yun's operations. Shen Yun didn't hide it. Seeing that Yan Han was interested in this thing, he directly took out the jade slip given to him by Yao Yang and gave it to him. The contents of the seal are all in this. Take a look first, and then you can understand what I am doing now. Yan Han didn't refuse. He thanked her and put the jade slip on his forehead. There was a lot of content about the sealing formation. Yan Han took a while to read it, but after reading the content of the jade slips, he had a new understanding of Shen Yun's movements at this moment, and he could even watch her operation steps, and know what to do next. When Shen Yun finished it, he had a clear understanding in his heart. He had also been exposed to formations, but this was the first time he had seen such an advanced sealing technique. He suddenly felt a little bit and noticed something strange in his body. Yan Han sat down directly, and the turbulent spiritual energy around him surged towards him. When Shen Yun came back from work, he saw that the severe cold seemed to be escalating. Shen Yun was not in a hurry to leave and just stood by to protect him. When he saw that the spiritual energy around him had stabilized, Shen Yun stood up and said, "Congratulations on reaching the late stage of the Golden Core. Thanks to this action, I suddenly had a special understanding, and I was promoted by chance," Yan Han said with a smile. As expected of a cultivator with Dan Bing's spiritual roots, there is no one else with this kind of understanding. If he and I were at the same starting point, it would not necessarily mean that one is better than the other. It seems that you are also very interested in formations. I have a complete collection of formations in my hand. When I go back, I will burn it on a jade slip and send it to you. You can study it carefully. There are people in the family who learn alchemy and weapon refining. There are indeed relatively few people who study formations and talismans. There were a few who studied this when they were in school, but they all changed departments later. Shen Yun doesn't know if anyone still studies this aspect now. The school has basics. Content. When I resigned, I told several principals that if anyone is interested in this, they can go to the mountains to find me, but I haven't seen anyone come to find me in so many years. These things are all summarized and condensed by the ancestors with great difficulty. Shen Yun thought about the upcoming battle and didn't know what the outcome would be. However, these things could not be lost in his inheritance, so Shen Yun planned to take advantage of this time to engrave these contents, and you will always meet people who are interested in this thing in the future, and then there will not be no materials for learning and reference. That's okay, thank you. Yan Han didn't refuse. He only knew some simple formations, but now that he could learn some advanced formations, what wouldn't he want to do? You're welcome, we're all old friends. It's up to you to publish the book later. Shen Yun decisively left the follow-up matters to Yan Han, although he had been troubled before. Don't worry, I will take care of this matter. But I came here on a mission this time. The 40,000 people over there are already in the late stages of foundation building. What I mean is to see if you want to go directly there to practice together, so that the progress can be better controlled. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, everything will be ruined. When the time comes to start all over again, the guy above will also be on guard, and it will be difficult to deal with. Yan Han told him another reason for coming. Let me think about this. Shen Yun thought for a while and said. After all, the amount of spiritual energy he needs now is very large. If he practices with them in the past, will he absorb all the spiritual energy into himself? This is something that cannot be guaranteed. After all, she has never practiced with anyone else. Okay, think about it slowly, and then give me a message after you think about it. This was the suggestion from above, but whether or not to do it in the end depends on Shen Yun's wishes. Okay, I'll give you the news as soon as possible. Even if I have to leave, I have to get everyone at home settled. This time I go out and I don't know when I will be back. Then I'll go back to the capital city first. If you go there, tell me in advance. Yan Han didn't stay long and said goodbye to Shen Yun outside the formation. Watching the people leave, Shen Yun looked around and found that Su Lei and the others had gone somewhere. They were no longer patrolling outside, but were replaced by a few unknown people. As for XCMG and others, although the lines leading to the formation have been completed, the lines leading to other towns and villages have to be re-established, so their work has not been completed yet. They are all still busy, and there is no reason to worry about one job. Rest when finished. Shen Yun said hello to Sugong and flew directly towards the mountain. Ordinary people's lives are limited and they don't have time to have fun. Their lives are so long, so they have to work harder. Back on the mountain, Shen Yun first burned the complete collection of formations onto the jade slips, and then the complete collection of talismans. As for the other content, Shen Yun had already burned it and handed it in, but there were no other tasks. I copied the jade slips and added new things to my library. Then Shen Yun began to arrange a formation on the mountain. It was an automatic defense formation. Even if he could not come back in the future, this formation could protect the safety of his home. Yun Yun, don't you have a formation at home? Why do you still need to set it up? Shen Chen, Shen Mu, and Shen Hung, who were called over by Shen Yun, asked in confusion. This is another defensive formation. You don't need to activate it yourself. If the mountain encounters a strong attack, the formation can be activated automatically. Let me show you. Third brother, you need to know some formations when refining weapons. This kind of defense formation is a relatively advanced form, and you can also consider whether it can be added to weapons. As for the eldest and second brothers, you are not as good at practicing swordsmanship as Shen Jian, and you are not as proficient in alchemy and weapon refining. You can study the formations and talismans, and you can have unexpected effects. I have already placed a book about it in our study room. You can learn the information about formations and talismans. If there is anything you don't know, you can ask third brother, he has been exposed to it. Chen Yun explained patiently. It's not because of you. Your second brother and I have very low academic qualifications. It's very difficult to learn these things, but we can handle them just by practicing. We have read Fu Lu's book with our third brother before, and we feel like we know every word. It's a bit dizzy when we get together, Shen Chen said sheepishly. The younger brothers and sisters are both excellent. They also want to rise up and take the lead, but they don't know that this thing cannot be forced or learned. As you practice, your lifespan will become longer in the future. If you think about it, you will have no hobbies in your long life. You can also pass some time by studying formations and talismans. As time goes by, you will always gain something. Chen Yun takes a longer view. After all, his family is quite practical in terms of cultivation. Although their qualifications are not top-notch, it is not a problem to cultivate the golden elixir, so Shen Yun has considered it for them in advance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 443. Shen Chen and Shen Mu looked at each other and felt that what Shen Yun said was reasonable. Last time, they heard Shen Hung say that Yun Yun could live for tens of thousands of years even if he did not practice cultivation. Spending these tens of thousands of years cultivating is indeed very long. It's boring. No matter how hard they work, they can live for hundreds of years. When the children are older, they don't have to worry about it. There is really nothing to do after practicing. Think about how the third uncle and the third aunt are working hard to study with their younger brother. It's time for them to find something to do for their future. The three of them were all people who listened to advice. They knew that Shen Yun had good intentions and followed Shen Yun obediently to learn the layout of the formation. Although they did not understand this advanced formation, they still realized how powerful Shen Yun was. With a wave of her hand, a piece of material turned into what she wanted. She carved it with her free hand, and the formation lines appeared on it. They have seen Shen Hung refining weapons and engraving formations, which was much more laborious than this. Everyone who followed Shen Yun learned nothing, but watched with excitement. How is it? Are you confident in learning it? After the defensive formation was set up, Shen Yun asked the people following him. Not yet, but I believe time can change everything. The three people looked at each other, and Shen Chen said loudly as the representative. Okay, Let's work hard, one bite cannot make you fat. Third brother, you will supervise them in the future. Shen Yun handed over this task to the third brother. By the way, there are a few younger brothers and the younger ones in the family. What do they need to learn and what are they interested in? Wait until they turn 18, it's all arranged. Okay, I will arrange this matter. Shen Hong immediately got the token to suppress his brothers at home, and immediately accepted the task. Although Shen Chen and Shen Mu are brothers, they don't dare to say anything against it now. Who makes Shen Hong know more than them? Okay, the elders in the family have also been left to you. I should go out to travel and experience life next, and then seek new breakthroughs. I may not be able to come back when. I will send messages home from time to time, so don't look for it. Me, if I travel abroad, the spiritual energy over there may not be suitable for our messenger talisman to fly. Shen Yun explained the purpose of doing this. Are you going to travel around the world? The three brothers were surprised. No wonder Shen Yun, who only cared about their cultivation in the past, would now care about what they study in their free time. It turns out that they are going to travel for a long time. The mainstay of the family, there are only a few of them, and they really have to work hard to improve their strength. Have you told your grandparents, third uncle, and the others about this? Shen Hong asked with concern. Let me explain to you first. I will tell my family at dinner. Shen Yun really hasn't told the rest of the family yet. She will tell you after everything is arranged. Traveling is just an excuse. She plans to go to Beijing. There are 40,000 people gathered in the city. There are indeed many uncertainties in the matter of cultivation, especially the promotion. I have to go and watch to ensure that 30,000 of them can successfully overcome the tribulation. Then their plan this time is it worked. Grandpa and Grandma are so old, do you have to go out and travel now? Shen Chen didn't understand. Shen Yun didn't know how much he valued his family. According to the cultivation level of his grandparents, a lifespan of more than 100 years was expected. To the limit, he didn't believe that Shen Yun didn't know about this. I gave them longevity pills, which added 10 years to their original lifespan. Now I feel like I've reached a bottleneck in my cultivation. I planned to travel a long time ago, Shen Yun said calmly. But your cultivation is so powerful now. You have a lifespan of tens of thousands of years. What's wrong with a few more years? Spend more time with your grandparents. Their time is fixed. If you go out, what will happen to them? It will be too late for you to regret it. Shen Chen's tone was very bad. He could not understand Shen Yun's behavior. Because he didn't know what Shen Yun was going to face. Brother, I have a reason to do this. I don't tell you for your own good. As long as you take good care of your grandparents at home, I will come back as soon as possible. Shen Yun was also afraid. She was even more afraid of dealing with herself. The thing in the sky has disappeared from this world. At that time, my family thought that since I was traveling, I would not be sad anymore. Okay, you are all people who do great things, and you all have your own affairs. Shen Jian and the others are like this, and so are you. Those of us with low cultivation are not worthy of knowing your affairs. Shen Chen turned around and left angrily. Shen Mu also followed. Looking at the two people walking away, Shen Yun stood speechless. Don't take what my eldest brother and the others say to heart. Even if you talk to Grandma and the others about this matter, they will still support you. Don't worry, go ahead and do it. My eldest brother and the others are my mother-in-law. There are always pros and cons in this matter of cultivation. You said you would come back as soon as possible. I believe your promise, Shen Hong reassured with a smile. Okay, don't comfort me. My heart is very big. Be careful and I won't change it. Let's go down the mountain. Shen Yun took the lead and walked forward. If you tell other people in your family about this matter, they may not understand it, and they may still stop you at that time, but you have already made your decision. She can't let those 40,000 people play with her, and this is her only chance to save herself. Without these people, her end is foreseeable, and she will be absorbed as energy. For the sake of your own life, you have to fight for it. Who wants to die if he can live? Shen Hong looked at Shen Yun, who didn't change his mind at all, and sighed behind him. Everyone was really more stubborn than the other. In the evening, except for Shen Xing and Shen Yu, who were going to school, everyone else at home gathered together for a rare meal. Shen Yun was not disappointed. He told his family about this matter after dinner. The originally lively dining room suddenly became quiet. Yang Kankan reluctantly held Shen Yun's hand. Originally, they were practicing seclusion at home, and they could go up and have a look when they came out of seclusion. But now that they were about to go out, they were beyond their reach. But she couldn't say anything to stop her. After all, she really hadn't traveled much in the past few years. She and her dad occasionally went out for half a month to see each other, and they only went out to do errands. Besides, after practicing for such a long time, they also know the importance of state of mind. The more they practice, the more they need to get out into the world and improve their state of mind. If you want to go, just go. Anyway, your grandma and I are still in good health. Go, don't worry about the family. Your brother and the others are here, Shen Kuliang said first. Yes, if you want to go out, go and learn a lot. If you work in Beijing, you won't be able to come back a few times a year. Now that you have been with us for such a long time, it's time to go out and learn a lot, so that everyone can see it. See how outstanding my granddaughter is, Yang Xiaoko also said with a smile. Since you are going out, Grandma will get you something delicious first. If you feel homesick, eat some. Anyway, you are also very fast with the sword, I think. It's easy to come back. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 444. The first people to support Shen Yun were the old couple. Then came Shen Liman and his wife, who both agreed. Since this was the case, although the uncles and others next to her were a little confused, they still expressed their wish to see her. Shen Chen and the others, who were still angry before, now have dark faces and do not express any opinions. When the grandmothers and others next to me said that my eldest brother was at home, they all just said yes. Sister, I want to go out and play with you. Shen Yun's youngest brother held onto Shen Yun's arm. You don't go to school anymore. You haven't even built a foundation now. When you go out with me, you want me to fly with you. I won't take you with you. You study hard at home. Shen Yun refused decisively. Don't let anyone think about going out this time. Wait until she successfully saves her life, and if she doesn't leave this world, then take them out to have fun. Little brother Shen's request was not fulfilled. Several nephews were watching eagerly. They wanted to go out, but they knew that their family would not agree. They felt a little melancholy for a while. It was better to grow up and go wherever they wanted. They also need to grow up quickly so that they no longer need to be controlled when they go out. Shen Yun was going on a long trip, so he received several storage bags early the next morning. His grandma prepared one, his parents prepared two, and his uncle prepared one. Although Shen Chen and the others were unhappy, they still asked their sister-in-law to send something over, and Shen Yun collected it without politeness. Thank you for the gifts you prepared. I won't say goodbye one by one. I will come back when I finish my travels. I will send letters to my family from time to time. Don't worry if you don't receive my letter. No one can match my strength now. It's all dealt with. Shen Yun looked at a few people who were not coming out of the room. He stood in the valley and said goodbye to his parents, grandparents, and others. His voice was filled with aura, which directly spread throughout the valley. Then he flew directly into the sky, and from a distance he could see a person standing at the door of the eldest brother's room. Shen Yun waved his hand downwards, and the message came out from the formation, and the people underground gradually disappeared from sight. Shen Yun adjusted her direction and flew directly towards the capital. As for the certificate, the severe cold weather had brought it to her 2 days ago. There was no need to take the test. The country directly issued her a flight certificate. Having flown along this road many times, Shen Yun flew towards the capital city without hesitation. He went directly to Yan Han and handed the jade slips he had burned to him. I plan to go to the base to practice. This time I will wait until the matter is over before going home. If I don't come back when this is over, I'll ask you to take more care of my family. Can you stop saying depressing words? There are more than 40,000 of us, how could we not succeed? Aren't you always very confident when doing things? Yan Han's face turned foul when he heard what Shen Yun said. Why don't I have confidence anymore? I'm very confident. I'm just a hidden person. I'm still afraid of him. I just want to tell you in advance. If I ascend directly to the upper world by then, my family won't want you taking care of you. Don't worry, if you ascend, I will develop well in the upper realm first. When you reach the upper realm in the future, I can still take care of you. Chen Yun looked at the other party's face and changed the subject with a smile. Anyway, he didn't explain the situation that required the other party to take care of his family. It's better that way. If you ascend, don't worry, your family members won't need to be taken care of by me, someone will naturally take care of them. Yan Han's face looked better. Okay, I won't disturb you anymore. I'll give you a final piece of advice. A cold face will easily lead to crow's feet. Smile more when you're fine. This will prevent facial paralysis. After Chen Yun finished speaking, he smiled directly without waiting for Yan Han's reply. He ducked and flew outside. Yan Han looked at Shen Yun, who was escaping, and shook his head helplessly. Thinking about what Shen Yun said, he couldn't help but smile. Shen Yun here flew directly towards the training base. The main base is not in Beijing, but in Kunlun Mountain. The depths of Kunlun Mountain used to be an uninhabited land, but for cultivators, this is a good place for cultivation. It has strong spiritual energy and no one disturbs it, so this place is inside the mountain. A large base has been built. Shen Yun arrived at the place and flew down at the gate. A formation was set up in the mountain and no one was allowed to fly inside. The huge spirit gathering array covers the entire formation. The formations are densely packed, making it difficult to see what is inside. Shen Yun designed the formation when he was designing it. Unexpectedly, the formation was exactly as he thought. He seemed to be a formation genius. If he had enough time, Shen Yun would like to get to know this person. Secret place, who is it? Shi Yeninj was stopped before he even got close to the formation. The gatekeepers are two foundation building peaks, and their strength is not weak. Looking at this posture, you can tell that they are from the army. Hello, I'm here to participate in training. Here is my ID. Shen Yun took out his ID in a business-like manner. The two of them looked at Shen Yun's ID one by one, and the more they looked at it, the more shocked they became. Wait a moment, we will report to the superiors. Although they were surprised by Shen Yun's position, the two of them were very professional and selfless. This base is a special talent reserve base. No matter how high the level is, if you want to enter, you need to greet the people inside in advance. Okay, Shen Yun nodded, not being embarrassed. A man returned to the communication room. After a while, Shen Yun saw a talisman flying quickly inside. Not long after, a talisman was passed back directly. Please come in, go into the base and go straight inside. Someone is waiting for you over there. The person who had just entered the communication room came out and spoke to Shen Yun. Then the two people directly took out a token and cast a spell on the token, and the formation directly opened a door. Shen Yun nodded towards the two of them and walked in directly. The formation closed behind him, and Shen Yun's figure disappeared next to the communication room. From a distance, he could only see the green mountains, which was no different from other places. Shen Yun entered the formation and realized the difference inside. The houses all over the mountain were covered in green, and there was a bit of playfulness in the rules. The rich aura wrapped around his body, making Shen Yun feel good. Looking up at the top of the mountain in the distance, you can see a touch of green swaying on the snow-white mountaintop. It is the green lotus that I placed there. After so many years of development, it has formed a small scale. Rich spiritual energy drifted downwards from the top of the mountain. Shen Yun really didn't expect that they would put their training base in this place, but I have to say that this place is really good, and the concentration of spiritual energy is similar to that of the hilltop at home. Kunlun Mountain is indeed a fairy mountain. It is indeed unique. Think about the spiritual veins on your own mountain. It can't be compared. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 445. Not far forward, I saw a person walking this way. Shen Yun took a closer look and saw that this person looked familiar. Isn't this the Snow Region Military Headquarters Shenzhenkan whom he met when he discovered the teleportation array before? He was also from his own family. He didn't expect that he was here too. After a closer look, he saw that the other parties his cultivation has reached the great perfection of foundation establishment. Looking at the other person looking up, Shen Yun estimated that this was the person who came to pick him up as mentioned before. "Hello, are you Shen Yun?" the other party greeted first. "Hello, this is me." Shen Yun went over and shook hands with the other person. "Shall we meet there?" Shen Xingcan felt that Shen Yun looked familiar and asked hesitantly. The teleportation array was discovered in the uninhabited snowy area Shen Yun mentioned. "Oh, I remembered." Shen Xingcan suddenly thought about it, and a smile appeared on his face. "The marshal sent me here to pick you up. Let's go and get back to you first." "Okay, when you come, you must meet the person in charge here." The two people walked forward along the main road. Shen Xingcan did not forget to introduce the layout of the place to Shen Yun. After a while, they reached the end of the road and a two-story building appeared. "This is where our office is. The marshal is inside, please." Shen Yun nodded politely and followed Shen Xingcan inside. "Marshal, I have brought you in." Shen Xingcan gave a military salute at the door of a room. Come in," a majestic voice sounded inside. "Hello, Marshal Zhou, I am Shen Yun who is here to report." Shen Yun and Shen Xingcan walked in and took the initiative to say something. Marshal Zhou's eyes were sharp and he took a careful look at Shen Yun. He had read Shen Yun's information and it was the first time he had seen him. He looked like his granddaughter who had just entered college, but his restrained aura told him that she was not. He is an ordinary student. Although the other party did not reveal his cultivation level, he knew from his many years of experience that this girl was not an ordinary person. "Hello, sit down, you two sit down and say." Marshal Zhou's eyes softened. Shen Yun followed Shen Xingcan and sat on the chair next to him. "Xingcan is responsible for the cultivation aspects of our entire base. Of course, because you and the 40,000 people have different cultivation levels, you can control the time yourself. If you need anything, you can mention it directly. I hope we can let's accomplish that goal together." Marshal Zhou was not polite and directly told Shen Yun about the situation here. "Okay, I will definitely cooperate. Now that I'm here with this purpose in mind." Shen Yun nodded. The three people said a few more words in the room, and then Shen Yun and Shen Xingcan came out. "I'll take you to your place first. Everyone here lives in dormitories. I've arranged a single-room dormitory for you. You can see what's missing, and we'll go to the logistics department to get it." "Okay, please." Chen Yun's requirements for this part of the room are not high, and the chances of her staying there are probably not high. In the future, he does not plan to practice at the base, but will aim at the mountains. Kunlun has been known as a fairy mountain since ancient times, and it will not be a problem if he goes to the mountains to practice on his own. There will be competition for spiritual energy with other people. And it's not far from this place, so it's easy to communicate any news. When he arrived in the room, the bed and daily necessities were fully prepared. Shen Yun quickly thanked Shen Xingqian. This is what I should do. Let me take you to other places to see. Our base is not small, and all departments are very complete. Shen Xingqian invited. Shen Yun nodded immediately and followed Shen Xingqian around the base. There are many cafeterias, training rooms, alchemy rooms, weapon refining rooms, and libraries. Shen Yun also met an acquaintance on the road, the young Taoist priest Wang Jing, whom he had met before. The two of them had gone on missions together before. After listening to Shen Xingqian's introduction, Shen Yun realized that the formations in the mountain were all set up by the opponent. He was very talented in formations. Shen Yun was immediately happy and asked him if he was okay. He took him and exchanged a lot of information along the way. He also told him about Yan Han's new formation book, which made him want to run to the capital immediately. Why are you so anxious? The books have been printed and will definitely be sent here. We have nothing missing from you at this base. Look at the library. There are no books. Shen Xingqian quickly stopped the person, although he was not there. Within 40,000 people, but these staff members are all substitutes, just to prevent anything from happening in the future. So there are not only the 40,000 people in this place, but also 10,000 people mixed in as staff. Then you can do it faster, Wang Jing couldn't help but explain. Don't worry, as soon as the book comes out, Beijing will arrange it for you immediately, Shen Xingqian said impatiently. As the biggest old man in this base besides the marshal, he also has a hard life, and the people he cooperates with are all difficult to deal with. Guy. Forgive me, our team members here just like to study too much. I understand, Shen Yun said immediately. The group also went to the practice room to check out the situation. 40,000 people were practicing in seclusion. It looked very spectacular, and the spiritual energy from outside was swirling inside. Each person is in a room and will not disturb each other. I have drawn isolation formations in every room here. As soon as you start practicing, the formations will automatically activate. It is similar to the formations outside our base. I figured it out myself. I am not good at it. Wang Jing excitedly introduced his invention to Shen Yun. It's very impressive. Shen Yun also praised him. It's very impressive that he could reach this level by exploring his own formations. After receiving praise from professionals, Wang Jing was so happy that he almost jumped up and down. A few people walked around the base a few more times and then separated. The next day, Shen Yun directly greeted Shen Xingqian and left the base. 40,000 people had already begun to attack the foundation building perfection, and she had to work hard. Choose a good place in the Kunlun Mountains, and then get a few letters and send them to Yan Han to ask him to send them back to him on time. Shen Yun immediately started to set up the formation. This time her goal was to hit the great perfection of the Mahayana stage, even close to the tribulation stage. Because she didn't know exactly when those people below would cross the tribulation golden elixir, so she had to prepare in advance. Even if you suppress your cultivation by then, it will be better than not being able to catch up, so you have to hurry up now, otherwise you don't know whether you can catch up by then. There is no concept of time when cultivating. At that time, there are only goals. Shen Yun worked hard towards the later stage of the Mahayana stage. He did not know that the 40,000 people below had successfully entered the great perfection of the foundation building stage and were only one step away from the golden elixir. So one step. When everyone started to prepare the elixirs and things for the golden Dan knot, Shen Yun successfully reached the great perfection of the Mahayana stage. After 5 years of non-stop cultivation, all the green lotus seeds stored in the space were wiped out by Shen Yun. With the support of various elixirs and spiritual plants, and the support of special spiritual roots, it might have taken thousands or hundreds of years to achieve it. The results can be completed within 5 years. The moment he came out of seclusion, Shen Yun couldn't help but smile when he felt the aura of foundation building perfection in the base. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 446. No matter what the future outcome is, at least they have reached this step together. Shen Yun was not in a hurry to go back, but communicated with Yan Han first. Knowing that he still had a letter in his hand that he had not sent back, he asked him not to send it back for the time being. Shen Yun directly sent the letter back himself. Then flew towards the base. She had already obtained the ID card to enter the base last time. This time, she used the ID card to enter directly without waiting for the person on duty to open the formation for herself. The entire base is much more lively than the last time I came here, and people can be seen everywhere. Wear uniform clothes and walk fast or slowly with a smile on your face. Did you hear that? The base invited several Jindan monks to come over and teach their experiences in overcoming the tribulation. There are lectures these days. Do you want to go and see them? Shen Yun heard the discussion in the crowd from a distance. Go, hurry up, listen, learn from experience, it will be our turn soon. Think about how terrible it would be to be struck by lightning, and I don't know how those seniors were able to survive it calmly. Why don't you go to something good? Hurry up, you'll be late and there won't be any seats today. The people in front immediately speeded up and started running. The people next to them didn't know why, and they thought there was something good going on. He also ran. Suddenly Shen Yun saw a scene of people moving. Thinking about how considerate the base was, Shen Yun also walked over along with the crowd. The venue for the lecture was a large open-air square. Shen Yun followed Shen Xingqian and passed by this place that day. It was originally a martial arts arena. At this time, there was a man with a golden elixir cultivation standing on it. He was enthusiastically explaining to the tens of thousands of people below him what he had done before crossing the golden elixir. The feelings, as well as the methods to deal with the thunder tribulation in the middle, and the final feelings, everything that will happen in the middle are all clearly explained. As expected, he was someone invited by the official government. Although he had never seen it, he spoke concisely and to the point. A large circle of people below listened to the Dzogchen Foundation and were fascinated by it, yearning for it endlessly. Shen Yun listened to the thunderous applause below, turned around, and left the place. The place for overcoming the tribulation is not a martial arts field, but inside the huge mountain behind. Based on the range of lightning tribulations in the past, the distance between each person was calculated by professionals. Now the venue for overcoming the tribulation is being set up, with standard lightning rods. Occasionally, reincarnation is planted. Huge plants broke out of the underground caves, covering the sky and the sun. It is not yet fully mature, so there is no need to worry about its pollen flying around. Only the faint floral fragrance is floating around, adding a little romance to the tension. Everyone is making preparations for the next step in an orderly manner. Different from the rigid training base Shen Yun imagined, this place is tense but also a little relaxed. Hey, Senior Shen Yun, I finally see you again. Wang Jing was still working hard to set up a defensive formation to deal with the sky thunder. When he turned around, he saw Shen Yun wandering around and felt that he had found his savior. Okay, these people below are not bad at understanding, but they have only studied formations for a short time. Many of the things they said were not realized by the other party. When I felt that I had to work overtime until the end of my life, I saw the shining Shen Yun. And immediately shouted regardless of the eyes of others. Shen Yun turned around when he heard the sound and saw Wang Jing and a group of people looking this way. What's wrong? Is something wrong? Wang Jing rushed to Shen Yun's side. Senior, You are really like a magic dragon who never sees your end. I haven't seen you in the past few years. I originally wanted to ask you for knowledge about formations, but I didn't know it was so unlucky. We are about to set up some formations here. Why don't you take this time to teach us some tricks of formation? Wang Jing came over and praised Shen Yun. Shen Yun looked up and down at the man in front of him who was wearing a Taoist priest's uniform and smiling attentively. His baby face looked small and innocent, but he was being courteous for nothing, and he was either an adulterer or a thief. If you have something to say, I can't understand you by beating around the bush. Wang Jing was choked. I just want you to help me. The task is too heavy. Senior, why don't you understand the style at all? Is this what you, a little Taoist priest, should say? Ji Fengqing, has she been in seclusion for a long time? Has the world changed and Taoist priests are talking about love? Wang Jing couldn't help but rolled his eyes and stared at Shen Yun, as if he had nothing to say. Shen Yun laughed when he saw this. This kid was not teasing at all. Okay, I'll help you with the matter. Tell me how to do it. He was now in a state where he could be promoted at any time, and now he was helping to lay out the formation. Can also distract a little. Look, didn't I misunderstand you? Senior Shen is such a good person. Wang Jing's face changed quickly and he immediately issued a good person card to Shen Yun. He didn't know much about Shen Yun's strength, thinking that Shen Yun was also a support staff member of the base, and didn't even think about Shen Yun talking about the master of cultivation. After all, the masters in his impression were all aloof, unsmiling, and had a weird temper. Wandering aimlessly in the mountains and forests like Shen Yun didn't look like a big man at all. Shen Yun was a little impressed by his reaction speed. But she didn't know if it was because her state of mind had changed, and her state of mind had changed, so she didn't take this little thing to heart. Quickly blended into a group of formation mages and helped set up the formation together. One formation per place, and preparing more than 40,000 places is not a small amount of work. But fortunately, the materials prepared above were complete. Shen Yun was responsible for a land with about 3,000 pills, which took her a whole week. My mission is completed. Shen Yun walked to Wang Jing, who was waving his arms in formation, and reported his progress. It's done, 3,000, you've just finished it? Boss, are you still human? I still have half of it left. Boss, please tell me how you made it so fast. Don't make me kneel down and beg. My arms are about to sparkle. In the past 2 days Wang Jing looked at Shen Yun eagerly while working. He didn't know whether it was because he was multitasking or because Shen Yun's success was such a big blow to him. Suddenly, the formation he had just laid out halfway started to smoke, and the formation base he had just buried burned. When the people next to him saw this, they immediately ran over and laughed at him. Boss, you are also here today. You were talking about us before. You also burned the base of the formation. You are really a prodigal. Don't you know that the base of the formation is very precious? Shen Yun looked at Wang Jing's dumbfounded face amidst everyone's teasing and laughed again. They all came back to work for me. I haven't even finished 1/3 of each one. Do you know that others have already completed it? Don't learn from the good ones and the bad ones. What's so good about me burning the base of the formation? If you have the ability, look at others. 3,000, it only took a few days to complete. After Wang Jing was hit, he reacted and immediately roared at the person next to him. Everyone's eyes moved to Shen Yun. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 447. Wow, where did this big guy come from? He's so powerful. He completed it in just a week. Are he still human? Do you want us to live? A whispering discussion immediately started nearby. The eyes he looked at Shen Yun didn't look like looking at a human being. Everyone imagined that Shen Yun could complete the formation by waving his hands like a Hot Wheel, and they were even more impressed. Teacher, can you tell us how you can do it so fast? Although they like to talk to Wang Jing is joking, but he is still serious about his work. Now that I meet a powerful person, I can't help but ask for help. It's very simple. I am an alchemist, so my spiritual consciousness is very powerful. I can place all the bases of a formation in the prescribed positions within 1 second, and complete the formation within 2 seconds. It's that simple. The formation techniques are the same as yours. Chen Yun said calmly. The people next to them all widened their eyes when they heard what Chen Yun said. The formation was so powerful, but he was actually an alchemist, and his cultivation level was higher than them. He had to throw people at each other. Isn't this a dimensionality reduction attack? Why, do you have any questions? Shen Yun pretended not to understand their dumbfounded expressions and teased them. No. No, if you do, you don't dare to ask. If you ask, your strength is not as good as others, your own cultivation is too rubbish, and your slowness is not the fault of others. Okay, I'm just teasing you. Of course it requires skill to make it so fast. Proficiency is one thing, and technique is another. Come with me, and I'll tell you about it. Maybe it happens to be the same as yours. Shen Yun said and took the lead and walked forward. Others quickly followed, not forgetting to send a message to colleagues who were far away. The group of people gathered more and more, and found a location without a formation. Shen Yun took the materials prepared in advance and began to demonstrate step by step. After listening to Shen Yun's formation method, the formation masters behind them all looked thoughtful. Shen Yun did not disturb them and quietly left the crowd. Those who are talented and attentive in formations may have special insights after listening to my explanations, and that is also their honor. Leaving this place, Shen Yun returned to the room where she had only stayed for one night and began to prepare a letter to her family. She was already prepared to face what was coming. Dong dong dong. The knock on the door sounded not long after Shen Yun returned. Come in. Shen Yun put away the written letter. I heard that you are back. How is it? How has your cultivation changed in the past few years? Shen Xingqian knew that Shen Yun was back, so he rushed over as soon as possible in order to understand the situation as soon as possible so that he could arrange the next steps. Matter. My current cultivation level will reach perfection in the Mahayana period. Maybe I will be able to survive the tribulation sometime. Shen Yun didn't hide it either. Is it so fast? Shen Xingqian frowned. This time is faster than he thought. Although most people in the base have successfully advanced to the foundation establishment perfection, they still need an opportunity to upgrade to Jindan. Preparations are now basically everything has been completed, it just depends on when the opportunity arrives, and even if it does, after so many years of observation, the time to overcome the tribulation cannot be guaranteed to be the same. I will try my best to suppress the cultivation level and will not enter the tribulation period before their golden core tribulation arrives. But don't worry, although I said it is possible at any time, according to the spiritual energy required for my level, it will definitely take longer than foundation building. Perfection reaches the length of the golden elixir. I will leave them enough time to realize the arrival of the golden elixir. Moreover, the jade slip does not say that the tribulations are to be overcome at the same time. As long as they are within a month, it is fine, so don't worry. If it succeeds, the matter will be solved. If it fails, continue to look for opportunities. We have the strength in numbers, so I don't believe we can't solve it. Chen Yun said with a smile. But everyone knows that there are not many opportunities for humans. After all, the opponent will become stronger and stronger, and absorb the luck of the entire human race. When the original way of heaven completely disappears, the opponent will also give up this plane. When the spiritual energy dissipates, there are many terrible things, and the end of mankind is approaching, so there is no chance of turning around. Okay, I understand. I will discuss the next arrangements with the superiors, but I have confidence in our people, So you have to work hard as a base worker. If he does not have hope, then others will. They will no longer trust these people. Then what's the point of their closed penance for so many years? Shen Yun watched Shen Xingqian walk out with a serious face. Sighed softly. At this critical moment, it is impossible for anyone who knows this matter not to be nervous. They didn't dare to put any pressure on the 40,000 people at the base, but the entire base staff still became nervous. The most obvious thing is that a group of practitioners who have established the Dzogchen Foundation have been brought in from outside. These practitioners are different from the carefree practitioners in the base. They have all been promoted through hard work or talent. The person who is extremely tall is the person who catches up from behind. In short, the two parties have a bit of trouble dealing with each other when they meet. Without saying a word, the people who came behind walked directly through the formation to the mountain and chose a place to continue practicing. The 40,000 people who had just finished the retreat were still very relaxed. Seeing that there were people working harder than them, they were a little confused at first. Didn't these people come here to provoke them? How could they go to practice? It didn't take long for everyone to be puzzled, and they found that the road to the mountain was free. When entering the mountain, pills would be distributed for a while, which were reserved for use when overcoming the tribulation, waiting for most of them to react. When I came over, I found that many people from their side had already gone over to find a place to start practicing. When they went there, all the places they liked were picked out. I can't care about so much anymore, so I quickly get the materials and find a place I like to start practicing. After most of the people entered the scene, Shen Yun also went to the independent hilltop designated for him. The entire mountain cleverly formed a formation of 7 stars looking at the moon. Spiritual energy flowed rapidly in the formation. Headed by Shen Yun, the existence of people on the entire mountain became mysterious at the same time, and they had inexplicable reactions to each other. There is a faint trend of increasing momentum and strength. Those who are caught up in the practice feel that this practice is a bit half the result with half the effort, just like an enlightenment. At the base at the foot of the mountain, Jindan cultivators across the country have made preparations for battle. The staff of the Foundation establishment Dzogchen have also spread out in the martial arts arena to start practicing. All ordinary people should evacuate the base and notify the residents around Kunlun Mountain to temporarily evacuate. We will wait until the results are known. The marshal gave the last order. What will happen next depends on the adaptability of these people. No one knows what will happen next. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 448. Chapter 448, 448, Thunder disaster is not so terrible. Yes, this order was carried out in an orderly manner. This was prepared several years in advance, so it did not cause any dissatisfaction. After all, ordinary people living in the mountains actually have a lot of inconveniences. Now that they can move to a convenient place outside and receive subsidies from the state, I don't know how happy everyone is. They followed others with their belongings one by one. "Marshal, shall we evacuate too?" the person behind asked in a low voice. The marshal raised his head and looked at the mountains in the distance. He gestured to the practitioners who were working hard in front of him and gestured to the people behind him. A group of people began to evacuate the place in an orderly manner. The observation point is far away, and ordinary people still have a strong fear of thunder and lightning. Shen Yun and the others on the other side of the mountain did not pay much attention to what happened at the base below the mountain. Everyone was focused on practicing. So many people practice together, creating an inexplicable aura. It feels like practicing can get twice the result with half the effort. This is not only the feeling of Chen Yun, but also the feeling of those who came later to participate in the practice. As for the 40,000 people, they were used to practicing together before. They thought this feeling was magical at first, but now they are used to it. But I feel that this time the feeling is a little stronger than the previous trainings. The people above are practicing cultivation and don't feel the change of time, but the people watching below are constantly busy. External communication and coordination, domestic cultivation, and scientific research are being carried out urgently. Those in the middle stage of foundation building are taking advantage of this time to work hard towards the foundation building perfection or even the golden elixir. The golden elixir is thinking about working hard to see if they can reach nascent soul, to provide some help for the next thunder tribulation. As for the valley of the Shen family, it still looks like it has been peaceful for many years. Ordinary people do not know about such an important matter. If it spreads to the whole world, I am afraid that the whole country will be in chaos before long, and the higher-ups will not allow it. This happened. So except for Shen Yun, Shen Jian, and Shen Hong, no one else in the Shen family knew about it, including Huang Bin. At this time, the family gathered together to celebrate the 100th birthday of the old man Shen Quiliang, and invited many guests. But as the protagonist, Mr. Shen Quiliang, kept a straight face in the room. "Okay, Dad, don't be upset. Didn't you see that the 3 children have sent the message? Shen Jian and the others can't take vacations at will. This is also a critical moment of cultivation. There is really no other way. Don't stop, it's embarrassing for the second and third brothers." Shen Libo looked at his younger brother who was standing next to him and holding his head. He was already very old and still had the main task of teasing his father. "I'm not trying to shame your father. If you're not happy, I'm thinking about my own grandchildren. There's no one else here, just a few of my family. Don't worry, you won't be like this when you go out for a while. You all go out to greet the guests. Don't get in my eyes." Shen Quiliang waved his hands impatiently, who likes to look at his son's face. "Dad, we know you miss your grandson, but there are your grandsons and grandsons outside, all waiting to wish you a happy birthday. How about we calm down first and go out to sit for a while?" Shen Liman said. "After all, they are all grandsons. You guys don't have the ability to give me more granddaughters. You can't even live up to your grandson's expectations. So far, I don't even have a great-granddaughter. Our old Shen family's yang is prosperous and yin is declining. When will we be able to give birth to more granddaughters for me?" Balanced Shen Quiliang glared at his sons and lectured. "The spirit seems to be better than that of Shen Libo. It's our fault, it's our inability." Uncle Shen and Uncle Shen apologized with a grimace. They were already in their 70s and 80s. After coaxing their grandson, they still had to coax their father. How happy they were. "Dad, why don't you go out? Everyone is almost here. They are all waiting to see you, the birthday boy. Thanks to your blessing, come out with me quickly." Shen Huiyan listened outside the door and pushed directly. The door came in to relieve the 3 brothers. Sure enough, Shen Quiliang's complexion improved a lot when he saw his daughter. Under Shen Huiyan's persuasion, he stood up and walked out vigorously. The old man is in really good health. When the guests outside saw Shen Quiliang's strong appearance, they immediately praised him. Looking at the men standing next to them, I felt even more envious. The Shen family is prosperous. The banquet here is going on lively, but thousands of miles away on the Kunlun Mountains, dark clouds are already rolling in. Shen Yun, who was meditating in meditation, felt the strange movement in the sky. He opened his eyes, glanced at the mountains next to him, and then looked up at the large dark clouds that were gathering quickly above. What we have been waiting for so many years is finally here. At this moment, not only did Shen Yun feel that the thunder disaster was coming, but many people below also felt that the spiritual energy in their bodies had reached the spiritual realm. Thinking of the lectures they had listened to below, they no longer paid attention to the visions in the sky, and quickly packed up the supplies they had received on the mountain, ready to use them at any time. Shen Yun was not so panicked. He only put on the defensive magic weapon that Yao Yang had given him before and waited for the thunderstorm from the sky to strike. Only by leading the thing out first, and the people below can then go through the thunder tribulation, can it consume its spiritual energy and let the heaven discover the existence of this thief. The dark clouds in the sky were so low that the entire Kunlun mountain seemed like another world. The sky was completely dark. Ordinary people could not see the trees in the mountains. Shen Yun could feel that many people on the mountain opposite opened their eyes and began to work. They must have sensed the coming thunder disaster. Looking at the lightning billowing among the dark clouds above her head, she couldn't help but smile. At this moment, when the dust settled, I realized how anxious I had been over the years. At this moment, I calmed down. Life and death were nothing, after all. I had lived 2 generations. Shen Yun raised his head and saw that the clouds were getting lower and lower. As if they couldn't wait any longer, a bolt of lightning struck down quickly. There was a loud banging sound, attracting the attention of the people around who had already felt the golden elixir promotion. Is that the powerful one on the mountain over there? I didn't expect that she survived the thunder tribulation before us, some people murmured, while some people looked at the top of the mountain over there with concern and without blinking. After a flash of lightning, the figure on the mountain remained motionless, as if the thunder that had just been struck was not as thick as half the top of the mountain, and was just a drizzle. This actually gives the people below a little more confidence. Thunder disaster is not so terrible. Chen Yun on the mountain really didn't feel much about the first thunder. She originally had a defensive magic weapon on her body, and her blood was purified by dragon blood. She had not given up her body refining skills for so many years. The first thunder passed by. Her body only felt a little numb. After feeling that Shen Yun was about to enter the tribulation period, the guy in the sky opened his eyes. Thinking that the first prey was about to be obtained, the thunder in the sky flashed even more powerfully. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 449. Chapter 449, 449. If Shen Yun hadn't worn 2 pieces of clothing on him, the scene would have been a bit ugly. The first lightning did not cause any damage to Shen Yun, and he immediately controlled the second lightning to strike down. The 99 and 81 thunder tribulations in the tribulation stage are enough to chop Chen Yun into pieces without any resistance. Then is his chance. The spiritual and physical power of a cultivator who is close to the tribulation stage is enough for him to seize the plane. He recovered from his injuries. As for the auras of the other golden elixir thunder tribulations, he didn't pay attention at all. These were all spare spiritual powers, and he could still afford to consume the power of several thunder tribulations. Thunder calamity struck one after another. Even though Shen Yun's physical strength was strong, he couldn't help but vomit blood when the 10th thunder calamity struck. The people below did not see the blood that was quickly wiped away from the corner of Shen Yun's mouth, but were filled with admiration. After all, after 10 thunder tribulations, the person still sat firmly in place, and this thunder tribulation looked more terrifying. There is still a lot of hope to survive. Although their strength is low, the number of thunder tribulations is small, and the confidence of the people below is greatly increased. The thunder calamity in the sky followed the thoughts of the people below and gathered quickly. Then the first thunder calamity struck the mountain here. It was like a switch was turned on, and the thunder calamity struck people in different places. Go, thunder rang incessantly on several surrounding mountains. People who were still looking at Shen Yun immediately withdrew their eyes and began to concentrate on dealing with their own thunder disaster. Although they were more confident, no one had underestimated the thunder falling from the sky. The thunder disaster. The thunder calamities of the underground people sounded one after another. The family above didn't seem to expect that so many people were going through the golden elixir tribulation. Even the thunder that struck Shen Yun paused. Shen Yun quickly stuffed a pill into his mouth to repair the wound just now. The guy in the sky was stunned for a second, as if he was made more impatient by the situation below. The thunder that struck down became more and more fierce. He wanted to take down Shen Yun as soon as possible, so that he could be faster. The absorbed energy can also make up for some of the losses caused by this thunder disaster. As for hacking to death all the people who are using the Golden Dan, he would not do such a stupid thing. These are all his spare energy packs, and they have consumed so much of his spiritual energy. He will not let the following people give up halfway in their cultivation. What Shen Yun wants is his mentality. With more and more people down there, it will be impossible for the guy above to control him. With so many people gathered together, their luck will skyrocket. Not a fake like him can do that. If they control it, then the true way of heaven will be awakened, and that's their chance. 30 rays of thunder struck down, and Shen Yun was already in a state of embarrassment. The cassock given to him by Senior Ye Yang had become tattered. If Shen Yun hadn't put 2 of them on him, the scene would have been a bit ugly. The flesh on his body was scorched black by lightning, and the speed of repair could no longer keep up with the speed of lightning's destruction. Shen Yun looked at the hair that had fallen off on his body, and then at the thunderstorms that were still gathering in the sky, and blurted out a national curse, "This guy is so shameless, he must kill himself. Then I will definitely not be able to fulfill his wish." After stuffing a handful of pills into his mouth, Shen Yun directly struck the oncoming thunder and lightning with his Qingfeng sword. Amidst the lightning strikes, everyone else sat there obediently. If anyone could take the time to look up and look into the distance, they would see Shen Yun on the distant hill. Shen Yun was already fighting with Lei Ding. He was smashed into the ground again and again, and stood firm with his sword in hand again and again. He stood up, raised his sword and continued to charge upward. And more people are opening their eyes, and more people are starting to go through the Jindan Thunder tribulation. Originally, it was expected that all these people's thunder tribulations could be overcome in about a month, and the guy above would be no match. But now I don't know if the auras were linked during the previous practice and influenced each other. Coupled with the rumbling thunder and the fluctuation of spiritual energy, unless it is a dead person, there will be no one sitting next to me who can't feel it. With this effort, I feel that my state of mind has also broken through, and the golden elixir knots are coming quickly one by one. The guy in the sky who was still playing with Shen Yun carelessly quickly felt something was wrong. In the past few years, there were 8 people who crossed the golden elixir realm in this plane. In this moment, thousands of them have appeared. Moreover, the number is still increasing rapidly. The spiritual energy in his body is also being consumed rapidly because it has to supply the thunder tribulation. He has now replaced the position of heaven in this plane. It is impossible to stop the thunder tribulation and can only be increased or decrease. But even if it is reduced, with so many people, his spiritual energy is not enough to consume. The number of people experiencing the tribulation in the entire area below has reached tens of thousands. The face of a huge figure in the void became increasingly ugly. It seems that the group of little bugs below discovered their existence. Who sued them? Must be the 2 little mice who escaped from this plane. But if tens of thousands of people want to destroy themselves, they think that they are too weak. The giant shadow was about to get up and see what the plans of these little bugs were. But as he teleported to the sky above the planet, more lightning disasters appeared, and the spiritual energy on his body was torn away uncontrollably. The ants also want the of war, so they don't overestimate their own capabilities. He is in urgent need of energy replenishment now. The following golden elixirs are too weak and will not be of much use even if they are absorbed. However, Shen Yun is fighting against the thunder calamity not far away. But he saw it. The situation changed as the palms moved, and the lightning that hit Shen Yun became faster and stronger. As expected, the force was increased. Shen Yun, who had been able to stand up just now, was knocked to the ground and could not get up for a long time. The hand moved to his mouth with difficulty, and a large amount of spiritual elixir and spiritual spring entered from Shen Yun's mouth. Feeling the lightning strike on my back again, I didn't even have time to breathe. Looking at the scale shield, a defensive weapon on his body that had not yet been activated, Shen Yun directly wiped his own blood on it. The blood disappeared in an instant, and the defensive weapon emitted a faint light, directly protecting Shen Yun's body. The defensive magic weapon took over 3 thunder tribulations, giving Shen Yun a chance to breathe, but there were still more than 30 thunder tribulations to come. The light of the defensive formation had dimmed, and she had to rely on herself next. Shen Yun endured the pain in his internal organs, sat up, and looked at the people on the surrounding mountains who were trying to resist the thunder. Most of the tribulation points were lit up, and only a few people did not enter the tribulation state. Thinking about the more explosive lightning strikes hitting them, it seemed that the guy above was already getting anxious. Shen Yun raised his head and glanced upward, as if he could see something through the clouds. He was anxious, which shows that their approach worked. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 450. Chapter 450, 450, a little insect dares to insult the gods. Then, let's see who can keep calm. As long as they persist, the opponent's strength will be weakened. As long as they are not killed by the opponent, if they persist, they may be able to meet the opponent face to face. Shen Yun thought optimistically, but when she saw the thunder falling from the sky again, she quickly concentrated her attention. The short period of repair she had just had allowed her to recover a lot of physical energy and a lot of spiritual energy. She still looked embarrassed, but this time she felt some inexplicable confidence added to her heart. So the condition is pretty good. After receiving a thunder tribulation, he immediately adjusted his state. Thinking that there were still many weapons left by his ancestors in his own space that had not yet been divided, Shen Yun did not hesitate. As long as he got through this incident, he would use weapons and other things in the future. Just find a chance to refine it, it's all external. With the help of weapons to resist, it was easier for Shen Yun to deal with the violent thunder disaster. However, the man above him was so angry that his face was ferocious. The spiritual energy on his body was constantly being consumed. A white dot appeared in the void in the distance, becoming more and more conspicuous. He knew that it was the Tiandao who had been deceived by him. At this time, so many people are going through the thunder tribulation, and it seems that the movement and luck generated cannot be concealed. As long as that guy wakes up, I can only give up this plane. But looking at so many people who are going through the tribulation below, my heart becomes more and more unwilling. I have been guarding this place where the bird died for so long, and finally, who can be willing to get nothing at all? The other party's eyes passed over the group of people on the mountain who had not yet successfully survived the Jindan tribulation, and his eyes directly locked on Shen Yun, who was continuing to survive the tribulation over there. Although my cultivation level is one step short of reaching the stage of overcoming the tribulation, I still managed to make some use of it. Stretched out his big hand to grab Shen Yun below. No matter what, he couldn't return without success. Shen Yun, who was resisting Lei Ji, couldn't think that the other party saw that heaven was about to appear, and immediately turned his face. When he felt a shadow that was difficult to ignore in the sky, it was too late to want to turn over and escape. Grabbed by a big hand, Shen Yun felt like he had been struck by lightning and his injured internal organs were about to be crushed. The most embarrassing thing is that after I was caught, thunder and lightning would continue to appear and hit me. This movement obviously shocked many people who were going through the tribulation or about to go through the tribulation nearby. Thinking about the confidentiality agreement that they had come to sign before, It seemed that the person they were going to deal with this time was this guy with a hand bigger than a mountain. People always have inexplicable fear when facing creatures larger than themselves, but looking at the people who were captured above, they still chose to pick up their weapons. Although Shen Yun was caught, he glanced out of the corner of his eye and saw the actions of the people on the mountain below. "Don't worry about me yet, continue to overcome the disaster." Shen Yun's spiritual energy roared downwards. "Little insect, you can hardly protect your own life, and you are still in the mood to care about other things." The owner of the big hand also clearly heard Shen Yun's voice, and the angry voice came down from the clouds. Not only did Shen Yun, who was about to faint, hear it, but the people below could hear it clearly. "People like you are like small bugs in the eyes of others. It is easier to crush them to death than to crush an ant." Think about it, there were still many people who didn't understand the above approach. After all, the danger is only when you reach the tribulation stage. In fact, many people's qualifications cannot rise to the tribulation stage. But now when I hear the other party say this, I think about my descendants who will be directly manipulated like this, and I feel a sense of reluctance rising from the bottom of my heart. The people below did not bother to use their meager strength to fight against the big hand, but continued to work hard to survive the thunder tribulation. As long as the opponent's spiritual energy was exhausted, the captured person would naturally be saved. Some people are busy practicing, while others are in the palm of the opponent's hand and cannot move, and are struck by lightning. "Who are you?" Shen Yun asked weakly, but he didn't expect that the guy above could hear him. He saw that the prey he was about to get was now controlled in the palm of his hand, and he was not worried that he would catch nothing after the heavenly Dao appeared. He planned to wait for Shen Yun's thunder tribulation to be over before absorbing her energy. Anyway, he can't leave now even if he wants to. The heavenly Dao over there has not yet fully awakened, and the thunder tribulations of those below are still connected to his body. Even if he wants to escape, he will continue to be weak for a while, so it is better to wait for the following. All these little bugs have turned into golden elixirs, and if they are all destroyed together, the mosquitoes, no matter how small they are still meat, and now he no longer dislikes them. I am a great ancient god, not something. He was very unhappy with the disdain in Shen Yun's tone. Even an ant would use such words to talk to him. Oh, the ancient god clan is not a thing anyway. He would be struck by lightning and his body would be controlled. He could not die or resist. Shen Yun could only live with his mouth. After speaking, he spit out a mouthful of blood and sprayed it directly on the opponent's hand. Shen Yun thought that he was spitting on him. Anyway, it was through his mouth. He said it was nothing just now, but now he felt a little uncomfortable when he heard what Shen Yun said. Although he had been sleeping for many years and his mind was a little confused, he also knew that it was not a good thing to say. "You little bug, you still dare to insult the gods?" The other party sneered and continued to tighten his palms. Shen Yun felt that his body was about to burst for a moment, and the blood in his mouth poured out as if it was free of money. "Kill me now if you can. Although my body hurts terribly, it is impossible to admit defeat." "Ha ha ha, I'll kill you. It won't be easy for you. If you insult the gods, you can only become a tribute to the gods." Thinking about Shen Yun's fate in the end, he felt relieved. He had to sacrifice himself anyway. Still paying attention to what this little bug said has not lowered the style of their ancient clan. He ignored Shen Yun's yelling and focused on the increasingly brighter white mass in the void, ready to stop and run away at any time. With the green hills left behind, there is no need to worry about running out of firewood. The ancient gods have few people, and life is more important than anything else. Shen Yun here really felt like he was going to die, with the loss of a lot of blood on his body and the lack of spiritual energy. Thunder and lightning struck at the body mercilessly, and now it was just a chance to survive in the palm of the opponent's hand. Perhaps this time we really have to say goodbye. In an instant, a mouthful of blood gushed out again after being struck by lightning. Shen Yun used his last spiritual energy to release the magic pen in his sea of consciousness. No matter what the outcome would be, if this thing stayed, even if there were any changes in the world in the future, the mountains, rivers, society, and country map would be the last retreat for mankind. After the magic pen flew out of Shen Yun's sea of consciousness, she fell into a coma. End of this chapter.